everyone, welcome to another new video. In today's video, I am going to do a sketchbook tour. So it has been so long since I did one. The last one was more than a year back, and I am so pleased to tell you that I finished this one and I'm ready to show you what's inside. If you have been following my channel, you will not be surprised to see this one, or you will be familiar with this one because I've been using this for the limited palette challenge every Friday. I do a live stream and I will use this for the painting. And I've in fact done a short where I show how I got this done, made it with SPD. So this is a custom made sketchbook that I got SPD, the artisan binders to make it. So if you like to see, look at more, to find out how to get this done, there is a video that I made about the sketchbook that they provided to me. So after that, I went back and I got them to make this for me. And the paper that I chose is Baohong. So I also have a video about Baohong paper because that's one of my favorite paper. This is Baohong Artist grade hot press paper. So today I'm just going to show you what I have done inside here. So just to give you a gist of like what you will see here in this book, they are all related to the limited palette challenge. I have a monthly limited palette challenge, and there will be like selected few colors, and then I will be painting a few themes, like you will see desserts, landscape, or flowers, or animals, and then like finally there's always like a portrait, like human portrait. So this is how it's organized. So you'll see repeated like themes through this sketchbook tour. This went as far back as April 2022. So this was, I started in April 2022. So it was like more than a year back. And this is of a dessert. So I will use 3 colors, and I don't really like this palette because it's so dark. If you would like to find out more about the palettes, I would probably do a video of all the limited palettes that we've done, but this is not the video for it, so I'm not going to talk too much about the palette. So then I did a fish. This is fighting fish. I quite like it. I quite like how I could get all the details and stuff. And then this was like a portrait, right? At that time, I think Bridgerton was pretty like popular. So I painted like the lead, and I tried to make him, the male lead, into a Dracula. As you can see, I gave him fangs, and there was some blood here and there. So I think TPO is good for this one. So this is another palette, the palette after that in month of May, and as you can see, this is again dessert. This is lime pie. So these are the 3 colors that I use. And then we also had like a landscape, right? As I said, this is Santorini, and this is a portrait. So I do portraits of famous people or of anyone who wants to submit their photograph for reference photograph. So this is one of the people who watches the stream, and she submitted her photograph. And then after that, we did another one. This is another palette, another month. And this is, guess what? Macaroons in a cup. Like, but who would put macaroons in a cup? But this was quite an interesting palette because it's very granulating. These are all from Daniel Smith. That was pretty decadent. And then we have like bird. I did a little bird, fat bird. And this is also a contribution submission by people who watch the live streams. And then after that, we had another palette, as you can see, another palette, another color, 3 colors, and this is a moldy cake. So you see a lot of moldy cakes because not all the palettes have yellow, because to paint confectionery desserts cakes, you need like some sort of yellow. So I didn't have yellow, so this one really looks like the cake grew mold on it. And then we painted dogs as well. So these are people's pets. So you either, you could also share a photo of your pets, and this is the pets. And we have like a portrait. This was from an app called Museum, I think, Museum app, Sketchy app. So you just kind of like, people submit photograph and you just take the reference photograph and you could just paint. I quite like the granulation over here. It's pretty nice. And then after that, we had another. So this was another month, and as you can see, like the moldy cake, the theme of moldy cakes coming up. So I really like this paper because you could see all these texture, and the back flows and everything is really good. So I like it, and you can do tons and tons of like layers on top. You could just scrub stuff back and put things. So I've saved so many paintings because the paper is so good. And then after that, more animals. So these are more pets. And then we have another portrait from the Sketchy app. And this is another palette, right? So these are the colors. This was actually submitted. So you can submit your pet's photograph, your photograph, or you can submit like a food photograph. So someone in our art community made this, like he baked this cake. And yeah, I painted his birthday cake. Is in fact his birthday cake. And this is just a kind of a like fun draw, like a doodle, just to test out the pen. And then this is the landscape with the 4 colors. Okay. And then we had portraits, and then this was also from Sketchbook app, but there's kind of a backstory to this. Like the people in the art community came up with some sort of I guess like life story, and they are like kind of a couple. But anyway, this is another palette. So for that month, I left this blank. I started like desserts over here, and then I painted this after that. So as you can see, I really quite like this one. I like the palette, and I also like the sketching part of it. And this was dessert. Like this is actually pumpkin spice latte, because it will add like alphabet P. Right, I did a lot of scrubbing, as you can see. Like this one didn't turn out well. The hand looks really bad, but yeah. And then this was the 4 palette, the colors, and I think 3 or 4. And then this was also like, I quite like this one. It's a raspberry cake, if I'm not wrong. And then we have a girl portrait holding a cat. So she wasn't holding a cat, but I painted a cat there anyway. So I think that month I wasn't feeling well, so I couldn't do one of the weeks. So it was just 2. And then the next one was like kind of December. As you can see, it's like, December theme. We have the Christmas cake. And then we also have like a carousel. Okay, I didn't really like this one. I thought this was actually like Gardens by the Bay, but the color's just too muddy, you know. And then the portrait. This was like my least favorite portrait because the hand's like so bad. So this was like I ended like 2022 with these, and then we started off like 2023. As you can see, I put in all the colors and all the swatches, so you kind of know like what sort of like the name of the palette and what sort of colors we are using. Again, we have dessert because we are not done with dessert, so we have a cake here, and I painted rabbit because it was like rabbit year. And then this was my self-portrait. So I painted myself. Like I was wearing a Korean hanbok because I wrote a tu, which means rabbit. And then for February, this was the palette, and these were the stuff that I painted, like a cake. I don't know what this cake is. And I painted a rose. I quite like this one. I thought I did a good job. And then a portrait, we had like a Chinese theme. So we then went by like countries. Our portrait master posted this one, so I painted this. And then after that for March, and I hated this one, so I thought we should challenge to use this color. So as you can see, the cake is looking moldy again. Moldy cake theme. And we have this like a pigeon. We call him Greg Bond, so he's like kind of the spy pigeon. Right, and then we had this one, the portrait. I think this one was saved. I was saved by the paper, because if you watch my video, you will see like actually kind of spoil the hand, like it was looking like a skeleton hand. So I managed to scrub off most of it, and it kind of looks good. So yeah, happy for that. And then in April we had this one, was like we call this para sakura. The colors are so soft and so hard to use. Yeah, I managed. Like it was with I think it was cobalt violet, right? Pretty hard to use. And I did a sakura mochi over here. I did a painting of a hanami with the sakura girl looking at sakura. All right. And then we had like a samurai. So this is kind of a Japanese theme. So as you can see, I wrote my name as well in hiragana. Yeah, and then in May, it was 2023. It was like the Pozole Earth, and these were the colors. And yeah, this was, I think, zozo or something. It's some sort of I think it's a Spanish dessert, like a donut but custard inside. And this is a little sea turtle, right? Quite like the colors. I think it's quite a nice palette. And then we have this one, a New Zealand Maui warrior, and it was just one of those palette like portraits that I tried with a smiling face, like an open mouth. So hard to do open mouth. I think it's very intimidating. It's very hard to get it right. It will look comical. So yeah, but I'm glad I tried it. And then we did this one called Summer Vibes. I quite like this palette. This is such a nice color. Like you get like jewel tone colors. This is like a yam dessert, right? And I like this one. I like to eat this too. And then this was one of the sort of a landscape that I got. And this is a little girl, portrait of a girl in Thailand. She's a little tribal girl, right? And then we have this palette in July. It's called Celebrations, the 4 colors over here. And this was like kind of a mess. Like I think the colors just went crazy. Yeah, and this one was like probably like my least favorite painting because it's just so crazy and the colors are just kind of muddy and you don't really see the fish. I don't know, I don't like this one. Yeah. And then finally was the portrait, the last portrait, and this one didn't really have the face, like you had someone with a mask. This is a topan dancer from Indonesia. So that ends the sketchbook tour. So as you can see, we are not quite done with the challenge because I have another book. So this is the continuation, yeah, I'm not done with this yet, but this is similar. Like I have all these similarly or organized in a similar fashion, but I still have quite a lot to go. And yeah, I will share this sketchbook when it's done. But this is done, and I hope you enjoyed today's sketchbook tour. If you did, give me a thumbs up and then subscribe if you'd like to see similar content. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye bye.